You know, men seem to have this weird obsession, well, not just men, society in general, really, about how big or how small a man's penis is. And don't get me wrong, this is not me trying to say, hey guys, look at me, I'm the superior man because I'm not insecure about my penis size. First of all, because that's pretty fucking stupid. And second of all, because I am insecure about my penis size. So, for this video, I wanted to explore why men and society are so concerned with penis size, why I think it happens, what the negative consequences I think are, how it gets perpetuated, and possible solutions, and so on. As always, I'm going to be saying men do this and women do this a lot, but like always, I'm not literally meaning that literally all men and literally all women do this. It's just generalizations. Also, I'm going to be mainly speaking from a straight male perspective because I don't have the experience or the knowledge to know how this manifests inside LGBT plus communities. Also, apologies for looking and sounding really tired. Well, it's because I am. It's 1:50, I think, in the morning right now. Yeah, depression is a hell of a drug. But anyways, let's start. The answer could potentially be huge because so many things are working together and are super closely connected. So it's really hard to isolate them and analyze them one by one. And even if I did try to do that, I would end up making a comprehensive analysis of interactions between men and women that, frankly, I don't have the knowledge to do it comfortably, and the video would last like 3 hours. But so yeah, I'm just going to try to simplify things. As men, we derive a significant part of our value from how big our penises are because we're taught that having a bigger penis will make us be better at sex. And if we have a reputation of having a big penis, well, in turn, we'll think that we'll have a reputation of being better at sex. And that's important because we think that having a reputation of being good at sex will make us have more sex. So we think that having more sex will make us more manly. It's not so much about the quality of the sex that we're having, it's more about the quantity of the sex that we're having. That's why we have insults like, you're a fucking virgin, or go get laid, loser, or I bet that you can't even get laid. Now, the reason behind why men care so much about how much sex they're having is because society teaches us to treat women as some sort of trophy. The more women that you have owned by having sex with them, the more trophies you have. And the more trophies you have, the manlier you are. That's why things like slut shaming are so prevalent towards women and not nearly as much towards men. But that's the part where I should stop, because if I keep going, well, the video is going to be like 80 minutes long. But the short of it would be bigger penis equals better sex, and better sex equals more sex, and more sex equals more women, and more women equals more trophies, and more trophies equals more manly. Well, I obviously disagree with the notion that having more sex means that you're more of a man. But it's not like I can just say, hey guys, did you know that your value doesn't come from how much sex you're having? Well, now you know, problem solved. Thanks for watching. So I'm going to try to show you that you can be great at sex even if you have a small penis or a micro penis or no penis at all. I know what you're thinking. We'll get into that. Okay, first, let's get some things out of the way. According to a study by the Australian National University, women generally, and I mean generally, do find larger penises more attractive. However, things like a man's height, or a man's voice, or a man's posture, or a man's personality have a much bigger influence. This means that while having a larger penis would generally be the optimal thing, it is by no means a determining factor. So while having a larger penis might have a positive impact on how pleasurable sex is for some people, it doesn't mean that if you have a larger penis, you're going to be good at sex. And more importantly, it doesn't mean that if you have a smaller penis, you're going to be bad at sex. But let's explore this a little bit further. First, we have to get rid of this notion that sex can only mean penis and vagina sex or penetrative sex, and that any other activity shouldn't be considered sex. This notion might partly stem from the fact that a lot of men don't see sex as an opportunity for both partners to make each other feel good. They see it more as a performance, as an extension of their manhood, as an opportunity to show how manly they are. And the easiest and most intuitive way to show this is, well, by using their penis. However, sex is an opportunity to make each other feel good. One person does not have more responsibility than the other to make the other feel good. And there are definitely situations where one person is going to take the lead and let the other person relax and enjoy. But, like being a selfish lover isn't going to get you very far unless, the other person has a kink or a fetish for that. And there's also other situations like with dominant/submissive dynamics, but even then, both parties are deriving pleasure from each other, and they both have roles to play. And I know that this might sound a lot like, if you're broke, just go get a better job. Or if you're depressed, just cheer up. Or, just go drink some fucking water or something. I don't know. But once you start thinking about sex this way instead of the other way, it gives you a whole new perspective about the entire thing. It opens up a different mindset. Anyway, going back to the main point, sex doesn't just mean penis and vagina. I know for a fact that many lesbians have amazing sex, but they use strap-ons and dildos. They have amazing sex even without strap-ons and dildos. But on that note, what's stopping you from using strap-ons and dildos too? Little known fact, or well, at least I didn't know, there are strap-ons made for men to wear. I didn't know this, or didn't even consider that this could be a thing until last year. The more you know. I'm not going to show you an image of how they look because YouTube would take the video down, but you can just type strap-ons for men into Google or Amazon and you can have a look by yourself. So if you're concerned about your partner never getting to experience what it's like to have sex with a larger penis, you can use a strap-on. And then they can return the favor in other ways.
Pleasure begets pleasure.
And it's the same thing with vibrators. You can use a vibrator at the same time that you're having sex with your partner. Whether it's penetrative or oral or manual, you can use a vibrator to give your partner an enhanced experience. Look, I'm not telling you to use a strap-on or a vibrator every time that you have sex. And I also understand how that can make some of us feel insecure, thinking that, oh, well, she just likes the vibrator or the strap-on and not me. It can make us feel less valued because we might think that she prefers an object instead of us. It makes us feel like we're replaceable and that we can be disposed of at a whim. This is a huge problem that happens a lot with men that I constantly talk about. I sound like a fucking broken record on it. That while women are seen as objects, men are seen as tools. So we think that we're only valuable depending on the things that we do, how much utility we provide. And once we stop being useful, well, we can be replaced or disposed of. You're not just a tool. You're a person. You have value outside of your utility. And I know that it's incredibly hard to believe that. I know it because even as I'm saying these words right now, it's still really hard for me to believe that people can like me for who I am instead of for the things I do for them. And I know that it's incredibly hard to believe that. I know it because even as I'm saying these words right now, it's still really hard for me to believe that people can like me for who I am instead of for the things I do for them. I mean, I think of it rationally and it seems like the right thing to believe, but it's still really hard for me to connect the thought emotionally. Also, keep in mind that we've been conditioned to think this way since we were little, and society reinforces this over and over again. So, of course, it's gonna take a long while to get rid of this thought. It's gonna take a long while and a lot of effort and a lot of introspection and, in a lot of cases, therapy. But let's get back to the main point. Let's say you have a micro penis, or even a small penis, or even an average sized penis, and you're concerned about not being good enough for your partner. Well, you still have other tools available, and of course, that if you're having casual sex or you're outside of your home, you might not have sex toys available, but you still have other tools like, well, you still have your hands, you still have your mouth, and this might sound silly, but you still have words. But it's also important that you remember that it's not just about you making them feel good. It's also about them making you feel good. It's about both of you making each other feel good. And if they don't want to engage with you because they think that your penis isn't going to be big enough for their pleasure, well, they probably weren't going to be concerned with your pleasure in the first place. So you probably wanted to avoid that experience anyway. And by no means I'm trying to say that it shouldn't hurt. It probably hurts like hell. It's humiliating and you probably feel like you want to die. But try to think about it this way. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're a software engineer. You fucking nerd. Okay, so you're a fucking software engineer, right? And you're going to write some code. That's what software engineers do, right? They write code. Whatever. You're writing some code, and two people are going to give you their opinion about the code. One of the people is another software engineer of a similar or higher level than you, and the other person is a complete layman. I'm pretty sure that both opinions are not going to have the same weight, right? Well, this is where we connect it, in this case, to women. A problem that we have as men is that we generally treat the validation from all women as the same, as long as we think that they're attractive at least. We usually don't make a distinction based on their personality, their maturity, their emotional intelligence, their values, and so on. As long as they're attractive, their validation is usually around the same value to us. That's why when we see a pretty lady on the streets with someone that looks or acts like a douchebag, we think, how can such a woman be with such a douche? Well, we probably aren't taking into account if the woman is also a douche, or maybe she's immature, or maybe she's abusive, or I don't know, whatever else. As long as she's attractive, we think that she's probably okay. Ideally, we should strive to not need the validation from anyone to feel secure with ourselves. But, that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and therapy, and it's almost nearly impossible because humans are social animals and so on and so on. But if anything sticks with you, is that you shouldn't treat the validation from all women as the same just because they're attractive. So if a woman instantly discounts you or doesn't want to engage with you because they're concerned that your penis isn't big enough for their pleasure, like I mentioned before, they probably weren't going to be interested with your pleasure in the first place. Or, maybe they were, but they have a preference for big penises, which you and most of the population don't have. So you probably are better off not having that encounter anyway. Hey you, yeah you watching right now, don't you dare skip this. If you're liking the video so far and want to see more videos like it, just give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I also have a TikTok. I post a lot of content there. You can also follow me there. I have a Twitter. I sometimes stream in Twitch and YouTube and all of the stuff. You just do all of the things, please support. Thanks. Look, a lot of men have a lot of hang-ups and believe a lot of myths about penises. However, a lot of women also have a lot of hang-ups and believe a lot of myths about penises. People in general have a lot of hang-ups and believe a lot of myths about penises. So let's just go over some ideas. Number 1. First of all, a small penis doesn't mean that all penetrative sex will be bad or will be worse than with a larger or average sized penis. There's a lot of positions that were designed to maximize penetration. And not only that, there's also a lot of positions that actually work better with a penis on the smaller side. Literally just Google sex positions for small penis and you'll find a ton of resources that you can learn from. Number 2, you usually cannot tell a lot about a man's penis when it's flaccid. We generally have 2 types of penises: growers and showers. Growers are penises that, when flaccid, become really small. Like a 6-inch penis could become something like a 2-inch penis when flaccid. And showers are penises that, no matter if they're flaccid or if they're hard, they're usually going to be about the same size. They might grow a little bit, but they're usually about the same. Number 3, look, I'm really glad that as a society, we seem to be pushing against discriminating against people for characteristics about themselves that they can't change and that don't affect anyone. So that's why we're generally against things like racism and sexism and ableism, and we try to push for body neutrality and body diversity. So, why in the fuck do we keep saying things like, oh, I bet that he has a small dick, or small dick energy, or big dick energy, or things like, what the fuck does that even mean? That because they have a small penis, they're less of a man? You do know that there's a lot of trans men that don't have penises, right? So you as a woke person, whatever the fuck that means, are you saying that trans men aren't really men? And this shit wouldn't fly the other way around. Like, if we saw a man making fun of somebody's boobs or somebody's labia, we wouldn't be okay with that, and rightfully so. And you might respond with something like, oh well, we only say it to misogynists or douchebags. Let me remind you how body shaming works and why we want to avoid it. So even if the person that you're saying this to is a complete fucking asshole, you still don't say it because there might be innocent people around listening to you that share that trait and they are going to get caught in the crossfire. So when you're saying that a douchebag has a small penis as an insult, you're implying that having a small penis is something that makes you a douchebag or something that's inherently bad. So people that have small penises that aren't douchebags might feel insecure about themselves, even if you didn't mean to insult them. That's why we try to not use fat or autistic or gay as an insult. And you might respond with something like, well, I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean that small penises were bad. It's just a way of calling this guy insecure. Well, why don't you fucking call him insecure instead? Why don't you just literally use the other word? It's the same fucking defense as people that use the homophobic F slur as an insult, and they tell you, well, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean that gay people are bad. It's just a way of calling someone a coward. Well, why don't you call them a coward instead? You have another word to use. Why don't you use the other word? This also helps perpetuate harmful stereotypes against specific types of people, right? So a lot of black men have described being made fun of or their partners being disappointed at them because they don't have a huge sized penis, right? Because black men are expected to have huge penises. So when they have an average sized penis or even a little bit larger than average, well, they get made fun of and they get told that they aren't a man or sometimes that they aren't even black because they don't have a huge penis. Look, it's not just these phrases that help perpetuate these harmful stereotypes. It's also all over media. Like in porn, you usually don't find small or average sized penises unless you're specifically looking for them. All of them, like 95% or more, have to be huge or monster sized. Look, you're totally entitled to have your preferences for bigger penises, right? You don't have to like smaller or average sized penises. But when 95 or more percent of porn only has huge or monster sized penises, well, this can create a harmful effect for people that don't engage responsibly with porn, which is most people, and especially young people. And you can see it all over the comments as well. Even when the male porn actor has an average sized penis, people will still be like, whoa, I can't believe that this guy has such a small penis. Or, oh, I can't believe that a guy this small is hooking up with a girl so hot. Shit like that. Look, and I'm not saying that we should make laws to regulate porn so that it only has a specific amount of big sized penises and average sized penises and small sized penises. I'm just saying that we should engage with it responsibly and we should support the films that do have average and small sized penises. But it's not just the adult film industry, it's also mainstream media. Since about 2010, with Spartacus, male frontal nudes have become more and more popular. Shows like Game of Thrones, or Euphoria, or The Deuce. However, fun fact, I think that most, if not all of the penises in Spartacus were prosthetic. In the movie Nymphomaniac, Volumes 1 and 2, the director actually digitally replaced the actors' penises for those of body doubles. So here's a small list of movies that have prosthetic penises. There's many of them, but I'm just going to mention a few. Chris Hemsworth in Vacation, Mark Wahlberg in Boogie Nights, John Cena in Trainwreck, Christian Name in Game of Thrones, Jason Schwartzman in The Overnight. The Overnight attempts to deflate the myth that penis size matters, but at the same time that it tackles the obsession with size, it ends up reinforcing it accidentally, in part because of the opening scene, where we see that the person with the bigger penis is giving more pleasure to their wife. Euphoria also explores penis size. It connects the fixation on size to toxic masculinity. It shows how girls are also complicit by dwelling on the size themselves and assuming that it's linked to sexual performance and masculinity. Both shows strive to critique our culture's obsession with the penis, as do movies like Boogie Nights and TV shows like The Deuce, both of which are serious explorations of the pornography industry. Yet, by making the penis a central theme, these films and TV shows continue to grant it an aura of mystique and power that existed long before prosthetics and weaker regulations were a thing. So, in the end, the use of prosthetics comes at the expense of the more mature thing to do, which would be just show the fucking penis, dude. Like, show a diverse and natural array of penises in a manner that holds no special meaning for the character or the plot. Contrary to what Spartacus would try to have you believe, all gladiators didn't have huge penises. Look, in the end, penis size and shape don't have anything to do with a man's strength, power, masculinity, or sexual performance. Just let penises be penises.